Hey there, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to work on today, we'll just title it this, is giving your drawings some realism. All right, and so this is how we go from basically drawing something and having it just be a bunch of lines that create an image to actually making it look like more of a real object or a photograph. Okay, and so first thing we're going to do here, we're going to take some notes. All right, so the first thing is whenever you're drawing things, draw or sketch lightly. Okay, because as you draw from a model something with a lot of detail, you're going to have to make adjustments and changes, and so if you draw too hard, then of course you're going to get these lines that you can't really erase, which you're going to want to probably be gone later on. Okay, and so that's really the big thing. All right, and as we get going, there's a couple of important things to remember here. So when you're drawing, watch the angles of lines in relation to each other, okay? And then pay attention to proportions, spacing, distance, because you're going to want to get things accurate as far as their sizing, how they are in relation to each other, all right? And so the fourth thing is, as we draw something complicated, you're going to draw the simple things first. Okay, so typically an object is a simple object that's got complexities and details inside of it. And so we don't want to take off drawing all the crazy details on there until we get the basic shapes laid in accurately. Okay, and so leave the details for later, right? So the object, we're going to draw a hand pencil sharpener, right? And so what we're going to do first, okay, it's made up of three simple shapes. It's a box, and so we've got a front, a side, and we have a top, okay? And so what you're going to do first is we're going to draw that front box, and so you're going to draw two equal lines like that. Now this shape is on an angle, and so I've positioned one line lower than the other, okay? And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw two more lines like that. And so we've got the front shape. Now when you draw these things, you're going to have, I think, three sets of lines that need to stay parallel to each other to keep it a tight drawing. And so my vertical lines, whatever's vertical in this image, needs to be parallel. So that needs to be parallel to that needs to be parallel to the other line. Same thing here, if you get an angle line, it needs to be parallel with the other lines in that set. Okay, very important. If you do that, it'll keep the shape real nice and tight. Okay, and so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come back here and I'm going to draw the line that kind of defines where the top and the side are. Okay, now this has a little bit of a, I know I just said parallel, right? But this changes a little bit here. So the top is the same as the side here. Okay, and then what I'm trying to do here is I'm looking at the model of the pencil sharpener, which is on your Google slide. Okay, and so I'm trying to get all this in proportion. So how tall is this, and then how long is this compared to that, right? And so when I draw this, when I figure that out, when I draw that line, it's got to stay parallel to that line and that line. Okay? If you get that, you're in perfect shape. Now, the thing about the pencil sharpener is it has this vertical line here, but it tapers down, so it gets like smaller as it goes, right? And so this line and this line are not going to be parallel because of the different lengths or heights back there. Okay, and so I'm gonna get that So you want that box to taper down a little bit, and probably a little bit more. You just got to look at that drawing and kind of figure it out, right? And so that's your basic shape, okay? Now as you draw this, always turn your page, because what will happen is as you turn it, it may look perfectly fine here, but as you turn it, like for me, this line has got a curve in it, so I need to go back, and this one definitely has a dip in it, and so I got to go back and kind of make those correct. The reason why you correct as you go is because if you don't, and you get to where you're like halfway through the drawing and all of a sudden you got to fix something, you basically have to go back and you have to erase everything you've drawn as opposed to 1 or 2 lines like I'm having to do now, right? So always check it as you draw it. And if you do that and you turn it, like this line right here has got a little bit of a curve in it, right? Okay. And then if I get it there, I'm going to erase the lines I don't need out of there, and then I've got my pencil sharpener box set up. So I'm in very good shape right here. All right, so the next step, I'm going to go into these 3 pieces separately, and I'm going to draw the simplest things in here, okay? And so for me, the front here only has one shape in there, and it's a circle. It's where the pencil goes in to sharpen, right? And so based on that picture you're going to look at, you want to make sure that you got your circle the right shape, okay? And so there's a couple of things I'm going to check based on the photo here, because it'd be real easy to draw that too small. But what I want you to look at is when you draw that, how far is the circle from each edge right there? It's not very far off that, right? And if you do that, then you won't have to worry about this too much, because I think it's like this is about halfway through the shape. I think it's halfway over. So probably something like that will be nice, okay? But like I said, like over here, right? Spacing and distance, there's a certain space or distance this is from the edge, so I want to make sure that lines up with the image, okay? And so that's kind of all we're going to do right here. Well, you know what? I lied. We're going to go here, and there is a shape inside of that. There's a couple of things going on here, but we're not going to worry about the complicated, but we are going to put we're going to make a crescent moon in there because it has a little bit of a boop, and that helps to give that depth. So get that crescent moon in there, okay? And then we're going to move over to here. There's a lot more detail up here. So this is kind of lowest amount, second, third, okay? And so what I'm going to do here is the pencil sharpener is a solid shape here, a solid shape, and then in between it has some grippy areas, okay? And so what I want to do is I want to make sure that when I draw these, they are the correct height and width, okay? Now I can tell you right now, looking at this, my back end has got to be shorter, okay? So this is a perfect example. I haven't drawn too much, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, right? I'm going to erase my line, and then I'm going to mark here how tall it needs to be, which is, I think, a little bit more accurate. And then I'm just going to come back in like I did earlier. I'm going to turn it so I can make a straight line, okay? But I think that's a little more reasonable. It may not be exact, but it's not bad. And then I want to check these 2 lines to make sure they're perfectly up and down like this. So I'll turn that around, make sure. Yeah, because this one kind of kicks in, so we want that to be. And this stuff I'm doing right here is real important, because if you do this, regardless of your drawing skill, if you kind of focus on that and make sure that's happening, your drawing's going to be a lot more precise. Regardless of your drawing skill, it's a matter of going through the steps and making sure you like get this right on the money, okay? Now, there is this piece right here, and it's got some grippy pieces. It's kind of ergonomically shaped to where you can pinch it and hold it right. And so all we're going to do right now is we're going to make a set of up and down lines, okay? So I'm going to divide that shape in half. Okay? And then once I divide that in half, I'm going to divide those two in half. Right? And I'm going to leave that for right now. The second part of this is I've got a straight line going here, but this actually curves inwards because it allows your fingers to kind of pinch that, right? And so it's the same curve on the top and the bottom. Now it's not a big, tall curve, but it is visibly curvy, okay? And this may change a little bit, but for right now, as long as I'm seeing that that's curved, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so just like so. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead. I need to draw at least one more set of these in here. Okay, and you'll notice I'm sketching pretty light. Okay, so this, I'm happy with this. Like I said, I'm not going to draw dark. Okay, because I still have to fix some things, but that's pretty good. All right, and so now this actually exists over here as well. Okay, so what I got to do is I got to make sure I place it in the correct area here to line up with here. So here's what's happening. So remember these lines that go in an angle or parallel. So I'm going to start from this point, and I'm going to draw a line that goes across here, and then I'm going to come to the back part. And I'm going to draw a line here, okay? I'm then going to turn this and make sure it's parallel, which it's not really too parallel, so I got to go in there and fix that. And then this one, same thing, it's a little bit off, okay? All these two lines do is tell you where the other curve is, okay? So when you come over here, you're going to give this a curve, and it's going to curve the opposite direction of that. So both curves have to go to the inside like that, right? So they have to go to the inside like that, okay? Then you can erase that line. And then once I get that, I don't need those two anymore, so I'm going to get those out of there. Just like that. It's a nice shape. Okay? And so next, we're going to move to the third section, which is the top, where it gets more complicated. Okay, and so here's what we're going to do up here. We're going to draw. So if you come off of that edge a little bit, not too far, look at the picture so you can kind of see the distance. Okay, I'm kind of drawing off of my drawing model, so it may not be totally accurate, but you take a look at the picture and see how far off that is. Okay, so we got like that. All right. Now this one over here. This one kind of, if I were to mark through the middle of my circle here and put a line here, this is kind of where this one comes off of. Okay? And so you're just going to do a guideline that comes all the way down. And just remember, these have to be parallel to each other. Okay? So I'm going to turn that paper around and look at it from both sides to make sure that that line is staying where it needs to be. So that's awesome. That's really, really good. Okay? And then what we're going to do next is we're going to come to the left side of this line, and we're going to draw a line. I think we're going to do this. Hang on a second. Let's do this. Let's draw a line here. So let's come to this side. Okay? And then it needs to be parallel. So draw it light, because you may have to fix it. Okay? So that's looking nice and tidy right there. All right. So next, we are going to go down to right about, let's see here, where does this line up at? So we're gonna put our pencil here, and you're gonna draw a parallel across like that, right? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut into that shape and make sure it's parallel, because that got wonky real fast, okay? So you're going to cut in right there, and then you're going to come out here, and you're going to draw a line that's parallel to that one right there. And I'll explain what's going on here in a second. Okay? Once you got that, that's good. All right, now the reason why we're doing this is because, and you can erase this line right here, it's because down inside of here, the level goes downwards because the pencil shavings basically come out the back side, and so this thing is hollow, right? And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come straight down just like this line, right? And then I'm going to come across parallel to that line, right? So what we're doing, and then you're going to take this line, you're going to come parallel to that. So what you've done is you've created like a little downward area, okay? Now, I'm looking at my reference drawing, and this needs to come a little bit back here, it looks like. So I'm going to make that a little bit longer. I'm just going to erase that. So that's what you want that to look like. And I'm looking at it now, and I'm saying, okay, that's crooked as can be, right? So I've got to come back in here and do a little correction work. All right, get it to where I want it to be. That's a little straighter. And I'm still going to have to wobble it a little bit, but that's okay. All right. So you've got the tray, and this is going to be the razor blade area right here. Okay. What I want you to do here is we're going to come over here. All right, we're going to come out here, and then this line's going to go down like that. Because just like this has a wall right here, okay? So come out here, and double check the picture, because I think I may be a little off on my drawing here, and then in that corner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, draw that, okay? This line comes all the way down. Right. So you've got, here's what I'm going to do here. Down and adjust that. Okay. I'm going to erase that out. So sometimes drawing from your drawings is not as good from drawing from the model, so kind of getting a little loose here. But that's what you want that to look like right there. So this and this are like the walls where it goes down in, and then you've got the back tray back here, right? Right. And then what you're going to do is the razor blade here has this beveled edge, and so it's going to get a line. You've already drawn the razor blade's edge, so here you're going to draw a line just like that. Okay. And if you look at that picture back here, the razor blade's edge kind of goes downwards a little bit, so it's an angle. It's not like straight back. That's actually looking pretty good. Okay. All right, next part, and kind of the final part on this. Well, there's two things. So we're gonna make, there's like a, you can see there's like this little like a screw in there, right? And so that's to hold the razor blade in, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. Now, I want you to look at your image really closely, because I'm going to put this in here where I think it is, okay? And pay attention, like I said, where does that sit from the edge of that pencil sharpener to the edge of the razor blade? You know, position it right in there, okay? Also, see where it is, like if you drew that parallel line across here, see where it is lined up in here. I think this is pretty close. It's next to the back. I'll correct this in the next portion of the video. And so that's where that little screw is going to go. Okay? All right, so one more thing, and then we're done with this portion of the video, okay? And there'll be another video for the next part. What you're going to do here is this actually curves like that, right? And then it curves to block this. So I'm going to erase this so you can see it. So what I've got here is this is a solid surface that comes around here. Okay, so oh yeah, that looks good. if I do say so myself, right? All right. So you want all of this in here, and once you get this in here, you've set up a very nice, highly structured version of the pencil sharpener, which if all this is accurate and you're happy with it, things are tight and straight and parallel and all that stuff, we're going to draw more stuff and then shade more stuff in the next video. Okay? But like I said, really, I kind of drew this looking at my photo model. Look at that reference photo that I put in your Google slide for the Bitmojis. It's on the last slide. Okay? Check that out. And then next video, we will go from here. Thanks a lot.